This is live from New Delhi. You're watching DDI India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and coming up in the next hour. First ever criminal trial of a former US president begins. Donald Trump dubs the trial as election interference and witch hunt.
This is done as election interference. Everybody knows it. People understand what's going on. This is a witch hunt, and it's a shame. And it comes out of Washington. It's in coordination with Washington, everything.
In India, high-octane poll campaigns cutting across party lines hit the top gear ahead of the second and third phase in 2024 Lok Sabha elections. In other news, intense heat wave engulfs parts of globe. World Meteorological Organization reports 30% rise in the heat-related deaths in Europe. Scorching heat wave sweeps through parts of India as well. Prominent Indians conferred with highest civilian awards of India, the Padma Awards, for their notable contributions in New Delhi. The disputed South China Sea witnesses one of the largest combat exercises in years, launched by the American and the Filipino forces on Monday. The annual exercises by the long-time treaty allies will run until 10th of May and reportedly involves over 17,000 military personnel along with the French and Australian forces. The show of allied firepower has alarmed Beijing. DD India's Raghav Kumar Jha reports.
The United States and the Philippines kicked off their annual military drills on Monday, with over 17,000 troops participating in the training exercise. It involves drills in the South China Sea, where Manila and Beijing have sparred over maritime borders. France and Australia will also join the maritime exercises, which is being conducted for the first time outside the Philippines' territorial waters. The Philippines military said a key focus of this year's drill is territorial defense.
As coastal nations, the United States and the Philippines share the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean. We understand the importance of maritime cooperation in addressing the complex challenges that threaten peace and security in our region. Together, alongside our like-minded partners, we are fully committed to upholding a stable and prosperous Indo-Pacific.
Amid escalating disputes between China and the Philippines, US President Joe Biden has repeatedly warned that the United States is obligated to defend the Philippines if it is attacked. US military said that engagements with Philippines is required to achieve shared commitments to greater interoperability between the two armed forces.
This exercise and the many other smaller military engagements are central to achieving our shared commitment to greater interoperability between our respective armed forces.
China strongly criticized the exercises, saying the Philippines was ganging up with countries from outside Asia and warned that the drills could instigate confrontation and undermine regional stability. The combat drills will include a joint sail by the US, Philippines and French navies in and near disputed waters off the western Philippines and province of Palawan. The sinking of a mock enemy ship by combined US and Philippines firepower, and the retaking of an occupied island off the northwestern Philippines. With inputs from Raghav Kumar Jha, Antara Sinha, DD India.
DD India correspondent Benji Haya joins us live from Washington, D.C. to put this story in perspective. Benji, hi, and apparently it's good morning over there. Good morning to you. Now, amid escalating tensions between China and Philippines, it's very clear that U.S. President Biden has taken a very stern position in favor of Philippines. And if attacked, he says, quote unquote, is obligated to defend it. So apparently U.S. making its intent very clear.
Well, President Joe Biden reiterating his sentiments that his support for the Philippines and that of Japan's defence too is, quote, ironclad. And the context here very key. The leaders of the three countries holding an unprecedented trilateral meeting here at the White House just a couple of weeks ago, in which they reaffirmed their commitment to one another and increased cooperation in the manner that we've been seeing as part of these exercises. But this is greater than just one single summit earlier in the month. The US and the Philippines have a mutual treaty in place of more than 70 years. This, however, what we're seeing in the past couple of hours is the most expansive and the most extensive drills yet. And the critical detail is that they are taking place outside of the Philippines' official waters in disputed territory that China sees as its own. So a stern message from Washington towards Beijing, providing a deterrence and trying to express solidarity with its allies and partners in the Indo-Pacific
and
in
China
the face of what the White House perceives as China's aggression.
Yes, and China hasn't certainly taken it too kindly, the stern messaging from the Biden administration, as you rightly put in, Benji. But the way China has strongly criticized the exercise in so many words, calling it Philippines, quote unquote, ganging up with the countries outside Asia. So is China dropping a sort of hint of warning to the extent that these drills could instigate confrontation? If that is the case, it's not a good news.
It's not, but what's worth noting, certainly, is that this joint exercise is what's referred to as the Balikatan, which is Tagalog for shoulder to shoulder, this cooperation. They're not officially trained at a particular country. Yes, the perception is that the US and the Philippines are working to counter Chinese threats in the region, given the fact this is all taking place in the disputed South China Sea. But there's no official firing of missiles or particular targeting. Nonetheless, as you were saying, strong rhetoric from China. Ganging up is a term they are using. The deployment of the missile system, they say, is at China's doorstep. And what we've heard from a spokesperson in Beijing is that the US, according to China, is exacerbating tensions in the region. And the Philippines, Beijing warns, needs to think twice about being a cat's paw for the United States.
Okay, a quick one. What more are you picking up from the Philippines, and any inputs on that? Their reaction to the strong criticism, especially coming from China, and an overwhelming support from the Biden administration.
Well, this is a careful line that the Philippines are trying to toe here. But ultimately, the message from the United States towards the Philippines is that there shouldn't be a choice. You shouldn't have to decide whether to ally with China, which is obviously closer in the same territory, or the United States. The US wants to avoid conflict. It wants competition. That is the sort of sentiments that will be explored and expressed during Secretary of State Antony Blinken's upcoming visit to China. The Philippines will be grateful for the US assistance militarily, but also economically. As part of this cooperation and its package, there is huge investment going directly from Washington into the economy in the Philippines, and I think that will be a focus point as well as part of this relationship going forward. But the message from the US, in coordination with the Philippines, is that they want freedom, peace and security in the South China Sea and the Indo-Pacific.
Benji, lastly, now this annual exercise is going to continue, or perhaps run until May 10th. So it's going to be a sort of long drawn war of words from both sides or something? More reactions and counter-reactions.
Yes, but they hope that, well, they hope that amidst all of those war of words, that there's not an actual war, that despite the fact that both sides are working towards getting a greater familiarity with this high-tech equipment, that no missile will actually be fired. But China will be wary of the US actions on its doorstep, or what it perceives as its doorstep. It will continue using the sort of rhetoric that we've heard. And of course, the argument from the United States is that this action is rooted in the very fact that it's China that has been aggressive in the region. So there will be eyes and potentially some concerns from
Yes.
Washington to see what China does next physically in the area. There's already been, of course, military drills taking place in and around Taiwan, the self-governing island democracy that China sees as its own, and that is a degree of concern too. Next month there is the inauguration of Taiwan's new president, and the warning from the United States is that China should be doing nothing in order to try to suppress democracy in that part of the world.
Right. Point taken. Many thanks, Benji Haya, for joining us live from Washington, D.C. on South China Sea dispute. And now still to come on DD India News Hour. Coming up next, this is what we have for you. Trump's criminal trial begins amid election interference claims. Opening statements being recorded in criminal hush money trial. A roundup of poll-related views and news as campaigning gains momentum ahead of the second phase of Lok Sabha polls. India's President Draupadi Murmu presents Padma Awards 2024. We get you more.
Versus facts, in-depth news and analysis with experts who will help you decide why this election matters. DD India is the main election headquarters with numbers most accurate, data most reliable, and viewership across the platforms. Stay tuned to the Great Indian Election only on weekdays at 8:30 p.m. IST and 1500 hours GMT.
Tracking the first phase of general elections, Team Poll Pulse has reached India's northeast in Assam. This is the tea city of India, Dibrugarh.
They are not getting jobs in the local area, like in Dibrugarh or nearby districts and all.
Home to the finest tea, the state is set for a cracker of a contest. This is 2024. Can the Congress and allies offer a fight back, or will the Modi juggernaut be unstoppable? Watch Poll Pulse on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and moving on to some big stories. Former US President Donald Trump's criminal trial on charges of falsifying business records to conceal hush money payments to an adult actor started on Monday in New York after last week's jury selection. Addressing the gathering outside the court before hearing started, Trump said that this is done as election interference.
This is done as election interference. Everybody knows it. I'm here instead of being able to be in Pennsylvania and Georgia and lots of other places campaigning. And it's very unfair. Fortunately, the poll numbers are very good. They've been going up because people understand what's going on. This is a witch hunt, and it's a shame. And it comes out of Washington. It's in coordination with Washington, everything, including the DA's office. It's in coordination with Washington. I just want people to understand that this is done for purposes of hurting the opponent of the worst president in the history of our country.
And earlier, Donald Trump arrived at New York's Manhattan Criminal Trial Court for a pivotal phase as the defense and prosecution deliver opening statements. Prosecutors explain why Trump's alleged cover-up of a hush money payment during his 2016 campaign broke the law. In fact, Trump is the first American president, former or sitting perhaps, to face a criminal trial, and the proceedings also play out against 2024 presidential race in which Trump is almost certain to be the Republican nominee to face Joe Biden. A jury of 7 men and 5 women are weighing whether Trump's alleged efforts to conceal damaging information about extramarital sex to protect his bid in the 2016 election were illicit. Trump was charged with 34 felony counts on falsifying business records in spring of 2023. DD India's William Denslow joining us live from New York gets us more. William, so to begin with, this whole Trump hush money trial has already kicked off with the opening statements, I believe. First of all, just give us the latest drift on the latest developments, especially the courtroom drama is concerned. What are you hearing? And then we will talk about Donald Trump's statement ahead of the trial.
Well, first of all, we heard from the prosecution and attorney Matthew Colangelo, who provided his opening salvo as to exactly the line of attack as far as the prosecution is concerned during this trial. He said that what Donald Trump had done is committed election fraud, pure and simple, was how he put it. The prosecution, during their opening statements that lasted a little under an hour, essentially tried to paint the fact that damaging politically stories about Donald Trump were potentially set to come out in the lead up to the 2016 election, and that is why the prosecution allege that Donald Trump paid hush money to people including the adult film actor Stormy Daniels. We heard from Todd Blanche, the defense is a lead attorney, who said that this story might sound neat, but it's simply not true. He said that Donald Trump had committed no crimes. Blanche added that trying to influence an election is just called democracy.
Interesting selection of words as far as Donald Trump is concerned ahead of the trial. The way he put it while addressing media, calling it witch hunt, calling it election interference. In fact, he's also gone to the extent taking US President Biden head on, calling it Biden trials. But is this really going to hold any ground when the trial, the trial is underway? So what do you make of the reaction coming from the man himself?
Well, this is a line of rhetoric we've been hearing from Donald Trump for weeks and also months. He says that this is all an effort to hurt his chances of reclaiming the White House come November. He says that this is not only harmful for him personally, but also politically. He says that his time that he'll be spent at the courthouse behind me in Lower Manhattan, a trial that could last up to 2 months, is 2 months that he'd otherwise be spending on the campaign trail. Now, when it comes to his attacks, there is a gag order placed on the former president that he wants to see removed. We're set to have a hearing on that matter on Tuesday, but ultimately in this trial, the only people that opinion really matter are the 12 members of the jury. They're being instructed to stay away from the media during this trial, so they'll be uninfluenced by comments from Donald Trump or what's being said in the media here in the US.
Right. As of now, many thanks, William, for joining us live from New York. We'll have to see how this day one really pans out to be. Thank you for joining us. And now it's time to get you the latest on the world's largest democratic elections in India, the Great Indian Election. And we begin with some poll-related news from poll-bound states where electioneering has picked up nearing second and third phase. Here's a report put forth by our election desk on day's election-related news.
Poll campaigns by leaders of various political parties hit top gear as the day approaches near the second and third phase of elections. India's Prime Minister was in Aligarh in the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. Prime Minister sharpened his attack on opposition.
कांग्रेस के लोग कहेंगे कि आपके पास गांव में एक घर तो पहले से ही है। ये माओवादी सोच है, ये कम्युनिस्टों की सोच है। ऐसा करके कितने ही देशों को वो पहले बर्बाद कर चुके हैं। अब यही नीति ये कांग्रेस पार्टी और इंडिया अलायंस भारत में लागू करना चाहती है।
While senior BJP leader and Home Minister Amit Shah addressed a public meeting in Kanker in the Indian state of Chhattisgarh, Amit Shah reiterated his government's resolve to fight Naxalism.
जब तक नक्सलवाद है, मेरे आदिवासी भाई बहनों को
तेंदुपत्ता के लिए खड़ नहीं देनी पड़ती, आदिवासी भाइयों बहनों के घर में बिजली नहीं पहुंचती, स्कूल नहीं है, राशन की दुकान नहीं है। मैं आज बचे कुछे जो है उनको भी कहता हूं, सरेंडर हो जाओ, आपको फिर से प्रस्तापित करेंगे।
While BJP President JP Nadda too was in the Indian state of Chhattisgarh, he addressed back-to-back multiple rallies at various locations in the state.
विधानसभा के अंदर पाकिस्तान जिंदाबाद के नारे लग गए और मल्लिकार्जुन खड़गे जो इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस के अध्यक्ष हैं, उनके प्रदेश से ये घटना घटती है, एक शब्द नहीं बोला जाता, एक शब्द नहीं बोला जाता।
In the southern part of the country, senior BJP leader and India's Minister of Commerce and Industry, Piyush Goyal, addressed a party workers' meeting in Sangareddy, organized in the Indian state of Telangana. Sharad Pawar, who leads the NCP, Sharad Chandra Pawar, addressed a campaign rally in Amravati for a Mahavikas Agadi candidate in Amravati in the Indian state of Maharashtra. Opposition too has intensified its campaign. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge addressed a rally in Channapatna in the Indian state of Karnataka.
जिसके पास बोलने के लिए कुछ मुद्दे नहीं हैं तो ऐसी चीज़ें लाते हैं। अगर उनके पास उनके ठोस मुद्दे हैं, ठोस काम हैं, वो बता सकते हैं। जैसा कि हमने नरेगा का बताते हैं, फूड सिक्योरिटी का बताते हैं, कंपलसरी एजुकेशन का बताते हैं, आरटीए का बताते हैं और रूरल हेल्थ मिशन का बताते हैं। ये हमने किया है।
Congress leader Sachin Pilot also held a roadshow in Kerala.
We are in Kerala. There are 20 seats that go to polls. Last time we got 19 seats, the UDF. This time I'm absolutely confident that we'll get 20 or 20 seats and Rahul Gandhi ji will win Wayanad parliamentary seat by a bigger margin than he won last time.
The second of the 7 phase elections will take place on April 26th, while the third phase of polling is scheduled on May 7th. Fuzail Ahmed reports for DD India.
And now let's take a closer look at the political pulse of Kerala. Down South Kerala, as the state braces for a significant showdown at the polls on April 26th. DD India Siddharth Bharadwaj has more.
Well, the state of Kerala will go to polls on April 26th. And the election fervour is certainly intensifying. I'm here in Trivandrum, one of the main constituencies here in the region, where majorly 3 political parties, BJP, Congress and CPI, will fight it out to win the hearts of the voters.
Kerala, the southern state known for its picturesque landscapes and vibrant culture, is gearing up for a pivotal political showdown. On April 26th, voters across the state will head to the polls in a single-phase election to determine the fate of 20 Lok Sabha seats. What sets this election apart is the intriguing dynamic among the 3 major political parties vying for supremacy. With each party presenting its vision for Kerala's future, the stakes have never been higher.
As the elections are nearby, I would really expect the government to do more initiatives for the development of women, especially. Though, there have been an improvement in the conditions of women, especially in Kerala. But I would like to see many laws and many regulations favoring women, especially women in workplaces.
However, amidst the political fervour, there's a notable shift in the electorate's mindset. Gone are the days of voting based solely on the party's allegiance. Today, Kerala's residents are demanding tangible solutions to their pressing concerns, signalling a desire for meaningful change.
So I am looking for a government who has the potential to provide incentives to remove the unemployment problem in India, because it is one of the major problems we face today.
As the sun beats down on the streets of Trivandrum, the capital city, citizens are determined to make their voices heard. With a newfound understanding of the importance of their vote, they recognized that each ballot cast holds the power to shape the future of their beloved state.
With the stage set for the electoral showdown in Kerala, the political landscape is certainly expected to change. The voters will cast their ballots on April 26, which will certainly decide the future of this state. With camera person Senthil Kumar, This is Siddharth Bharadwaj reporting for DD India in Trivandrum.
And as we're just days ahead of the second phase of elections, 5 seats in Bihar are also going to polls in this phase. All the seats in Bihar are from Simanchal region, which will witness a very tough political battle this time around. Here's a ground report from the Katihar Lok Sabha seat by DD India's Dubendu Mondal.
Some 350 kilometers away from the capital city of Patna in Bihar, the Simanchal region of Bihar, which consists of 5 seats, is going to the elections in the second phase of the general elections of 2024. The parliamentary seat of Katihar in this region is going to witness a tough contest between the Congress and the JDU, which is part of the NDA alliance. On Sunday, Union Home Minister Amit Shah and Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar campaigned for the JDU candidate Dulal Chandra Goswami in Katihar. The campaign witnessed a massive participation from the people cheering for the BJP and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The loud cheers from the crowds is perhaps a testament for the support the NDA candidate is gaining from this seat in Bihar.
सरकार का सुविधा सब मिला है, गैस मिला है और हम स्वनिधि योजना में जुटे हुए हैं। मोदी जी का लाभ मिला हुआ है, तीसरा लोन मिला हुआ है मोदी जी की तरफ से।
The schemes of the central government under Prime Minister Modi is garnering massive support amongst the women voters of this region.
बहुत सारा चीज दिया है, राशन दिया है, बच्चे लोगों को पढ़ाई लिखाई का सब कुछ दिया है, साधन किया है नीतीश जी ने।
Even though the Congress and the RJD, part of the India alliance, is putting in their full might, the takers seem few. RJD's Tejasvi Yadav, along with senior leaders of the state Congress, was also seen campaigning in the region on Monday. The Katihar seat of Bihar, which has been a traditional seat of the Congress, and the Congress's Tariq Anwar, winning multiple times from here, has been with the BJP for the last 2 terms. The battle here would be a tough one, as the 2019 results show the winning margin for the JDU candidate is through wafer-thin margin with just a little over 50,000 votes. Despite the issues of unemployment and several others that the people have been talking about in this region of Bihar in Katihar, it is the people that will decide who their parliamentarian would go to the Parliament of India from here in this region of Bihar in Katihar. With camera person Jagmohan, this is Dubendu Mondal from Katihar in Bihar for DD India.
And over in Tripura, Chief Minister Manik Saha, who is on campaign trail in the state, says that the central government has reserved 33% seats in the parliament and legislative assemblies across the country. He added that in Tripura also his government is making all efforts to give women their dues.
नहीं, महिला के लिए ऑलरेडी 33% तो अभी अब देखें वो कानून पास हो गया तो 33% विधानसभा में भी होगा, पार्लियामेंट में भी होगा और हमारे यहाँ 33% तो ऑलरेडी नौकरी में ऑलरेडी डिक्लेयर ही है और सिर्फ वो भी नहीं है। आप देखें यहाँ पर हम लोग का स्टॉल अगर गवर्नमेंट स्टॉल होगा तो उसमें 50% महिला को लेके देना है।
In other news, India's President Draupadi Murmu on Monday presented the Padma Awards, the highest civilian award, at the civil investiture ceremony at Rashtrapati Bhavan in national capital New Delhi. President Murmu conferred Padma Vibhushan to former Vice President Shri M. Venkaiah Naidu and founder of Sulabh International Bindeshwar Pathak. Also, amongst others, actor Mithun Chakrabarti, singer Usha Uthup, former Uttar Pradesh Governor Ram Naik and industrialist Sitaram Jindal were also conferred with the Padma Bhushan Award. Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, Prime Minister Modi and among others were also present at the function. Recipient of the Padma Bhushan Award, Mithun Chakrabarti, expressed gratitude over receiving this coveted honour.
खुशी बहुत है इस बात की क्योंकि जो चीज़ ना मांगने से मिले ना उसकी पाने की खुशी और ही है। मैंने कभी भी ज़िंदगी में अपने लिए किसी से कुछ नहीं मांगा, जो भी मांगा दूसरों के लिए। वेरी हैप्पी बिकॉज इतना सम्मान इतनी इज्जत जब किसी को भी मिले, हैप्पीएस्ट मोमेंट।
And still to come on DD India News Hour coming up next. In Maldives, the People's National Congress or the PNC secures landslide win in the parliamentary polls. and intense heat wave impacts the world at large. And in the latest QS World University Rankings, Indian universities make significant progress and total 69 Indian institutions feature in top 500 list.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
Hype versus facts. In-depth news and analysis with experts who will help you decide why this election matters. DD India is the main election headquarters with numbers most accurate, data most reliable, and viewership across the platforms. Stay tuned to the Great Indian Election only on weekdays at 8:30 p.m. IST and 1500 hours GMT.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Sakal Bhatt. Let's go back to our team of reporters, DD India reporters, crisscrossing the nation and getting us live inputs as far as those states which are going to polls in the second and third phase. I'm quickly going to introduce my team out there in the field. Mark Lynn joining us from West Bengal in India, and from down south Kerala, Siddharth Bharadwaj, and from Tripura, northeast India is Deepika. Deepika, coming to you first. Now, very quickly, we saw your report and the conversation you've had with the Chief Minister. So, in Tripura, I believe it's as a linear fight between the CPM and BJP obviously trying to outclass or challenge CPM's dominance. But these polls are essential, and the issues that are in the fray largely should be national in nature. What more are you picking up? How's the contest looking like?
Indeed, this is a contest between BJP and CPIM. But today, when we had a word with the Chief Minister, Dr. Manik Saha of Tripura, he said that he's got a strength of the PFTI party, the Tripura Mota party, as well as the BJP. So all the three parties are really ahead of the CPIM, and he says that CPIM is no challenge to BJP at all. And when we went to the ground, we went inside the Tripura East district, and we had a conversation with the people of indigenous level over there, and we also had a detailed conversation with the indigenous women over there. What they want is, because it is important to understand what exactly do they want apart from development. So many of them said that they really want better healthcare facilities. Okay. They want English medium students, because English is the trend, as they say, for their kids. And they also want proper roads, proper infrastructure. We also had a word with the vendors, the tea side vendor, which is led by women over there. And the women said that most of the women are single mothers and they really need better infrastructure facilities. And indeed, every time when the elections are there, they do go to vote, they do go to the polling and make sure that what they expect is fulfilled by the government. And when we talk about this, that what is being fulfilled, what is being expected, we had a word with the other citizens also in other districts of Tripura East, and they say that the development has started taking place in the last 5 years. This is what the citizens have to say. And they also say that the past 5 years have shown some sort of hope for them, and this is all the more reason that Tripura West saw a very good turnout of voters, which was crossing 80%. When we talked about we talked to Election Commission of India about this, ECI also said that Tripura East is also similarly expected to expect greater results because of this.
Okay, very quickly now, BJP clearly has an advantage, Deepika, as far as as the backing of the strong regional outfit is concerned, Tipra Mutha?
Indeed, because the main demand of Tipra Mota is to give identity, is to give script, and is to give language their rights under Article 2 and 3 of the government. This is what Pradyot Burma, the leader of the Tipra Mota party, has demanded. And he said clearly that he is not against the Congress party, but when he saw the commitment from the BJP government coming towards the security of the indigenous people, he was driven by the idea, and this is how he gave his support to the BJP government.
Okay.
So Tipra Mota is the leading party here, the largest party here, which has given its clear support to BJP, and that is why they are the edge above here.
All right, you have some busy days lined up as the state goes to polls in the second phase. Deepika, many thanks for joining us from there. And shifting focus to Kerala down south, Siddharth, my colleague. Siddharth, thank you for joining. Now, traditionally, when we talk about Kerala, it's always a linear contest between the Congress-led UDF and LDF. But this time around, eyes are clearly set upon BJP, which is going all guns blazing to open its account in the state from where you're reporting, God's own country, beautiful Kerala.
Yeah. Definitely beautiful Kerala, God's own country. And first of all, a very good evening to you, Sakal, from Trivandrum, where I'm standing right now. And it's absolutely wrong to say that now the competition is just between the UDF and the LDF. BJP is coming into the fray and is going all guns blazing, like you said. Rajiv Chandrasekhar is the person who's also union minister at the center right now, contesting from the BJP and giving high hopes to the BJP that BJP this time around can open their account in the region. So it's not just UDF versus LDF this time around. It's a three-way contest. It's a triangular competition between all the three, between the two groups and the BJP. Earlier in the day, I had a word with Dr. Shashi Tharoor, who's been winning from this seat since 2009. And he was saying that he's confident that Congress will win. But people here have different opinions. 50% of them are happy that the government is working right, but 50% of them, rest of them, they are saying that they want to see a different face. This time around, they want to see a different candidate. And in fact, they were of this opinion that Congress should have given ticket to someone else. They have their different problems. The pressing concerns here in the region remains in some areas of drainage and of water scarcity, which they think that the new government will resolve. So they are very hopeful of these elections, as these elections are very interesting here in Kerala. They are not monotonous this time around. BJP can get an outbreak. There are many chances and a golden opportunity because people are actually believing, they're actually, believing the BJP.
Yes.
And,
let's
the political
leave that
landscape is very much expected to be changed.
Yeah, let's leave that decision for the electorate to finally decide the fate of their state. But the 20 parliamentary seats that are going to go to polls on 26th of April, Siddharth, particularly Wayanad seat and some other seats are expected to witness a very fierce battle, especially Wayanad and high-profile seats like that. What are you picking up from these constituencies? Siddharth, can you get me? Siddharth, can you hear us? We'll try and go back to Siddharth in a bit. Meanwhile, let's quickly shift our focus to West Bengal, the eastern state where Mark is joining us. Mark is joining us, and Mark, West Bengal's electorate. Can we go to Mark, please, and then we can try and go back to Siddharth also. So West Bengal's electoral landscape, Mark, you've traversed part of some regions out there, has gone through a very tremendous sort of transformation, politically speaking, over the past decade, with BJP in particular gaining foothold in regions, including the north and the constituencies which lie near the border areas with high tribal population. So it's going to be a very, very interesting contest with BJP daring Mamata Banerjee's bastion.
Yes, indeed, Sakal. In fact, the three seats that are going to polls on the 26th are Balurghat, Raiganj and Darjeeling, and all three have sitting BJP MPs, though, of course, the one in Raiganj, where I'm currently stationed, The candidate is not the sitting MP, but a gentleman called Karthik Paul, who has replaced the sitting MP. But otherwise, the BJP has won all these 3 seats, and they are hoping to regain the seats in this election. But let me tell you that I've spoken to a lot of people, and they believe that this is going to be a fierce contest. It's going to be a close contest, and whoever wins is going to win with a smaller margin than expectations are. That's basically the mood right here.
Yes, yes. Mark, I believe as you are reporting live, there's electioneering that's already underway there. And let's quickly go back to Siddharth if he's with us. Siddharth, some high-profile constituencies where all eyes are going to be set upon, particularly Wayanad and others?
What?
Okay, we'll try and get some luck with Siddharth, and meanwhile, let's also move on and get you some other news. We're getting some news from Maldives, where the People's National Congress has secured a landslide win in the parliamentary elections there. They were held yesterday. The PNC has clinched over 66 seats, solidifying its position in the political landscape of the nation. The official results are yet to be announced by the Election Commission of Maldives. The results follow the usual pattern of ruling party winning at the parliamentary elections since 2013. Dr. Mohammad Mizzou had won the presidential elections as a PPM-PNC candidate last year. The elections were a crucial litmus test for President Muzi's party, which had been facing intense scrutiny over allegations of corruption and its policy decisions. The party also faced the challenge of countering the vote split caused by the breakaway faction of former President Yamin. The main opposition, the Maldivian Democratic Party, which had previously won a supermajority in 2019 polls, returned with at least 11 seats. Chairman of the MDP, Fayaz Ismail, graciously congratulating the PNC MPs and expressed the party's commitment to working with the government to uphold democratic values and ensure that accountability as a responsible opposition force. It is noteworthy that Maldives figures prominently in India's neighborhood first policy, with India having contributed to socio-economic development of the nation. Several high-impact community development projects and major infrastructure projects are being implemented by India in Maldives. And apart from this, India has remained a first responder in several crises of Maldives in the past. And now we bring you this report on how heat wave is impacting the world at large. And India is no exception, with scorching heat throwing life out of gear in some regions.
Heat wave is impacting human civilization worldwide. Europe is witnessing faster warming as compared to other continents. The continent is increasingly facing bouts of heat so intense that the human body cannot cope. And this has led to more heat-related deaths in summer. The World Meteorological Organization has reported 30% rise in heat-related deaths in Europe over the past 20 years, with parts of Italy seeing 7% increase last summer. About 41% of Europe saw extreme heat stress last year, prompting EU Environment Agency to urge governments to prepare healthcare systems for climate change.
Hundreds of thousands of people were affected by extreme climate events in 2023, which have been responsible for large losses at continental level, estimated to be at least in the tens of billions of euros. Unfortunately, these figures are unlikely to get smaller, at least in the near future.
In West Africa, recently heat waves hit temperatures above 40 degrees Celsius, equivalent to a once-in-a-200-year event in Mali and Burkina Faso. According to the World Weather Attribution Report, despite limited data, WWA report estimates hundreds or possibly thousands of heat-related deaths. They warn that without global efforts to reduce emissions, such extreme heat will become more common. A scorching heat wave swept through parts of India, with maximum temperatures reaching between 40 and 46 degrees Celsius in various areas.
You can see there is a cloud patch over entire Pakistan area, even western Himalaya regions. So temperatures are not even crossed 40 degrees over the most of places. So it will remain so for next 2-3 days, and there will be slowly thereafter it will rise and may touch 40 degrees after 3-4 days.
Heat wave conditions are likely to continue for the next few days. throwing life completely out of gear. Bureau Report, DD India.
And the Bangladesh Met Department has extended the heat alert for 3 more days from Monday. The meteorologist Mohammad Bazlur Rahman has said that the prevailing extreme heat wave may linger on in Bangladesh for the next 72 hours starting from Monday. Bangladesh's highest temperature was recorded at around 42.2 degrees Celsius in Chodanga on Sunday. 4 people have reportedly died from heat stroke in Bangladesh in last 3 days. The heat wave condition forced the authorities concerned to close all schools, madrasas and colleges till April 27th. Dhaka University authorities also announced to hold classes online due to the scorching heat. Ross Collin joins us live from Paris to give us an update on the heat wave conditions that have actually, Ross, taken under its grip parts of Europe. What is the latest as far as the Met advisory for the next 48 hours are concerned, and what more are you picking up? How, especially in Paris, how are people coping up with these intense, rather unprecedented heat wave conditions?
Well, these heat waves have been striking France and Europe pretty much every summer, despite the fact that at the moment here in April it's very cold, single figures. There will be very likely another heat wave here in France, as there almost always is every summer now. We are seeing wildfires. You can almost predict they will come every July and August, unfortunately, particularly in the southwest of France. Outside France, we are seeing Portugal, Spain in the west of Europe, Greece in the east, regularly affected by wildfires every summer. This is something now that is becoming commonplace, these more devastating events. On one side, you have fires and heat waves and droughts. We are also seeing, though, heavy rainfall and flooding affecting Europe. This latest report out from the World Meteorological Organization saying that there was a record number of days in Europe in 2023 where there was extreme heat stress. It was the warmest September on record, September 2023. Exceptional glacier loss, just so warm that there is continued melting of those huge glaciers that we do have in Europe, in France, in Italy, in Switzerland, for example. And the average sea surface temperature in the oceans around Europe was also the highest on record. We heard from the other author of the report. It was jointly between the World Meteorological Organization, the UN's weather agency, and also it was in concert with the European Union's weather agency, Copernicus. And the director of the C3S, that's the Europe's Climate Change Service, did say that in 2023, Europe witnessed the largest wildfire ever recorded, one of the wettest years, severe marine heat waves and widespread devastating flooding. So it is these extreme episodes of heat and also extreme episodes of storms, downpours and flooding.
And Paris looks as of now a little overcast skies behind you, Ross?
Yeah, Paris today is cold. It's a much colder April than on average, with temperatures late kind of around 8, 9, 10 degrees. So it is chilly here. I know it's much warmer in Europe during the summer. But in terms of the coping measures that the WMO has recommended to governments as a priority, improving mitigation and adaptation policies, trying to improve the health system infrastructure and also improve the tailoring of different climate change policies.
All right, we'll leave it there, Ross. Thank you very much. You enjoy the weather in Paris, but meanwhile, thanks for joining us live from there. And after weather, let's talk about Earth Day, which is being marked across the globe on Monday to support environmental conservation efforts. The day is dedicated to raising awareness and promoting sustainability of the planet Earth. Aman Kumar Himanshu has more on this.
Mata bhumihi putro aham prithviya.
April 22nd marks the World Earth Day. The day is observed as an international event to pledge support for environment protection. The theme for 2024 World Earth Day is Planet versus Plastics. On this day, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterated country's commitment to environmental protection. Prime Minister has reaffirmed commitment to nurture nature to ensure a better future for our planet. Various programs are held to sensitize people. In Porbandar, cycle rally was organized to raise awareness on 54th World Earth Day. Health Minister Mansukh Mandviya participated in a cycle rally and urged people to ensure safe earth for future generations. This day reminds us the importance of environment conservation and sustainability, encouraging to come together and take action for a healthier planet and brighter future. UN Chief Antonio Guterres said it is important to stand united for the planet.
On Earth Day, we must stand for our planet. A planet threatened by climate change, by pollution, by biodiversity loss. A planet that needs to be rescued. So we must unite and we must mobilize all our efforts for climate action, to protect biodiversity, and to support all those, namely the indigenous communities, that are teaching us how to take care of planet Earth.
Nowadays, human civilization is at a crossroad owing to a large looming planetary climate crisis. Unquestionably, human indulgence with the nature is the culprit of this crisis. But India's Vedic culture is a complete set of doctrines for living in perfect harmony with nature. The verses in the Vedas manifest the relationship that ought to exist between biotic and abiotic components of nature for the well-being of all. In Vedic culture, the earth is considered the divine mother and human beings as her offspring. The Hindu Taittiriya Upanishad tells us, from Brahman arises space, from space arises air, from air arises fire, from fire arises water, and from water arises earth. Earth, the densest of all, is the ground upon which life originates and flourishes. For Indians, the earth is a divine and organic entity, metaphysically and metaphorically. Hindu culture have always believed that all creatures on earth are interconnected. They worship these elements for their sacredness and divine energy. This Earth Day serves as a reminder that everyone has a shared responsibility for the health of the planet and that corporations, governments, communities and individuals must work together to achieve this goal. Aman Kumar Himanshu's report for DD India.
In Uganda, one teacher is taking action against plastic pollution and tree cutting as the world marks International Earth Day. Isabel Nakiria reports from Uganda.
Rachel Akol is fighting plastic pollution in the classroom. The Ugandan teacher has created a tree made from plastic bottles to create awareness among her learners. The tree has manila paper used as leaves, and each leaf has information on environment pollution. Akol calls her innovation a robot tree.
I drew leaves so that they would give their responses, but I felt it was not coming out well. I went onto the manila, drew the same leaves. I felt I needed to better it. Then now, when the junior achiever students were making out the link fences, I went and asked them, can't you make for me a tree? And that tree, they said yes. I gave them the picture. I said I want a tree, but the tree must be out of bottles.
The National Environment Management Authority says over 130,000 metric tons of plastic are littered in Kampala annually. Of this, 42% is left uncollected. Most of the uncollected plastic causes toxic runoff into soil and water bodies. Scientists say plastic is made from harmful chemicals that are a danger to health and the environment. Akol is trying to find solutions to proper disposal of plastic by recycling it into a teaching aid. She also chose a tree to bring out awareness about the dangers of tree cutting on the environment. She says her teaching tool is empowering her learners to be actors in environmental conservation.
You're giving room for the learners to appreciate first nature and also to appreciate that they can also be part of the lesson. They contribute, because when you group them, even the one that would have not spoken will be sharing. And after sharing, they're all having what they've shared and you pin there.
Globally, states are pushing for a 60% reduction in plastic by 2040. In Uganda, the initiative, the Green Schools Project, supports innovations like ACOLS by giving opportunities to young people to actively participate in climate solutions.
The only fact that we are using something that has been recycled from plastics means that we are being told to recycle and to protect the environment. Then the other thing is to be creative with the things that are around us. For example, those plastic bottles. We didn't expect that something brilliant like that would come out of plastic bottles.
The Environment Agency says plastic pollution has led to poor water and air quality, loss of soil fertility, and death of livestock and fish. While ACOL and her students are taking a step in the right direction to rid the environment of plastic, environmentalists are calling for an end to plastic for a healthy planet. Isabel Nakiria in Kampala, reporting for DD India.
And in some good news for higher education sector in India, in the latest Q Simons World University Rankings, Indian universities have made significant progress. In total, 69 Indian institutions have featured in the top 500 list. The president of the Q Simons, Nunzio Q, has shared the results of Indian higher education systems from QS University ranking. In a post, he said that this year, Indian universities demonstrated the highest performance improvement among all G20 nations, whereas in terms of research output, India has become one of the world's most rapidly expanding research countries. Further adding that India's higher education progress on the global stage has undoubtedly been aided by visionary policies such as the National Education Policy 2020, spearheaded by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And that's all that we have for you in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The application is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we will be back with more news as it breaks here only on DD India. I'm Sakal Button from all of us here in New Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.